Hi, I'm Rachel from Low Profile, and this is a short video showing you step-by-step instructions for how to join in on our new project. So if you've signed up for this project, you're going to have a pack in the post, and that pack is going to have some cardboard templates. It's going to have some pieces of fabric. It's going to have a needle and thread. And from your stuff at home, you'll need to find a glue stick. Now I've just got like a Wilko's glue stick here, and the most important thing is that it's washable. You'll also need a scissors and a blank piece of paper. Just any scrap piece of paper will do. So let's get started. I'm going to first of all take my blank piece of paper. This is just to protect your table or your surface. I'll take one of my pieces of fabric and one of the templates in the pack. I'm going to lay the cardboard template down onto the piece of fabric so that there's just a little space around each side of the fabric. Try and make this as even as you can. Then I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to run just a little line of glue along the piece of card and then dab some little pieces of glue onto the fabric. I'm going to fold that over and just press it down so that the card sticks onto the fabric. You don't need to use huge amounts of glue here, just enough so that it keeps hold on the fabric itself. And then I'm going to turn it around to do the short sides. Same process, just a little bit of glue and fold it over, press it down. Now you can see I've got this little flap of fabric here. That's exactly right. That's how I want it to be, just loose flap of fabric. And then I'm going to go to the fourth side. Again, a little bit of glue and just press it over. So this is one of your template pieces completed, and I'm going to do exactly the same process with the next piece. Card down onto the fabric, little line of glue, press it over, smooth it down. This process that we're using today, this is called English paper piecing, and this is a traditional patchwork process and technique. So if you're interested, you can have a Google for other types or examples of English paper piecing to see what different people have been making over the years. We're glue basting here, but traditionally people would have sewn along each of these edges, tacked into them to keep the fabric around the paper. So now you've got two of these template pieces. We're going to move our scrap piece of paper away. We're going to line up both of these template pieces so that they match along all the edges of the template. You can see I'm just adjusting them so that they're matching up together. And again, our flappy pieces, that's exactly how we want those to be. Now I'm going to thread my needle. I'm using some orange thread here so that you can see it really clearly. The thread colour in your pack might be different, and that's just fine. So when I pull my thread through the eye of the needle, I'm going to keep both ends. We're going to have a short end and a longer end. I'm going to tie a knot in the longer end just by looping the thread around my finger and pushing it through. And I like to do this knotting process twice, just so that it's extra safe and secure. With my 2 paper pieces in one hand and my needle in the other, I'm going to line up these corners on the long edge. So always sewing on the long edge. And I'm going to just feel with my finger and thumb where the edge, where the corner of that template piece is. And that's where I want to go in with my needle, just picking up a little bit of the fabric from along the top. I'm going to pull it through so that my knot catches it in the end. And I'm going to sew another stitch just in front of that. So these are just very simple single stitches as we go along. You can also hold the template in whatever way feels comfortable for you. I'm right-handed and I'm obviously also doing this for the camera, so I'm holding it in this particular way, but you might find another position is easier for you. That's great. What I'm going to be doing as I go is also just making sure that all of these corners stay lined up with each other. And I'm going to continue down this long stretch and keep sewing it just stitch by stitch. If you find that you're going through the cardboard a little bit too much, you might just want to pull your needle back, bring it back in, and I start to feel like a little bit of resistance where the fabric is just meeting the cardboard. So I'm just trying to get a very small piece of the fabric under my needle. Your stitches might be bigger or smaller than mine. That's absolutely fine. And this process will probably take you about 15 or 20 minutes. Depends how used to sewing you are, depends how often you're doing this, and how confident you're feeling in getting these stitches in. We're going to continue the whole way down this long edge. So from one of these corners of the template all the way down to the other corner. And that's the only part we're going to sew. When we've got these shapes sewn together, so we've got 2 halves of a hexagon shape, and when we open it out, it's going to form a full hexagon. And these hexagons all join together with other people's to make the banner that we're working on at the moment. So I'm going to just keep going. Every so often I'm just checking in, lining up to see that I've got my template, my pieces in the right place. I always find sewing quite kind of meditative and relaxing, just that process of just one stitch in front of another, and before you know it, you finish the piece that you're making. As we've been working on this project and bringing other people together to sew, we've been talking about quite a few different things. So we're really interested in thinking about times when we can come together as individuals and do things that are possible, maybe that are bigger than the sum of their parts, things that are bigger than what we could achieve on our own. And we've also been looking at, in the space, we've got some books to do with protest banners and protest movements. We've got some of historical union banners and people coming together under a banner. We're really interested in that idea. We've also been joined by quite a few people who have been part of different protest movements, and including like recent protests against what's been happening in Plymouth city centre and the campaign to save the trees on Armada Way. And all of that is giving us lots of food for thought. So thinking through these times at which we might come together, times at which we might contribute something or contribute some of our time and efforts to achieve change, and how that's really possible through collaboration and building things together and working together. There's also this really nice aspect of just sewing together and being together in the space, and doing something with your hands just allows the conversation to flow in a different way. We've also been thinking about how to use this format of artists' impressions. So those images that you might see as part of a planning application or a new development. And that's something that we're working out during this residency, how we might use those formats to think about new artworks and ideas that could happen in public spaces around the city where we live, the city of Plymouth. And as I'm coming up to the end here, I'm just paying attention again, using my fingers to kind of feel the way. I'm going to pull back these flaps a little bit so that they're not getting into my sewing. I'm feeling just for where the edge of the template is, where I'm coming up to that corner, just checking in to see where that is. I can see that I've just probably got about 3 stitches left to go. And when I get to that last stitch, I'm just going to go backwards on myself. So just for 1 or 2 stitches, I'm going to go backwards, and then I'm going to cut that and finish that one there. So now you've got your hexagon. When you open that out and flatten it out, you can see the 2 long sides joined together to form a hexagon. And those are going to be placed with all the other hexagons in the project on all sides and sewn in, so your hex will become part of the larger banner. And here's what it looks like on the back of the hex as well.